Part 209. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2081. That's it? The plump and beautiful woman Murong Yu opened her mouth, seemingly surprised. Fang Fan shrugged, with a look of astonishment on his face. Isn't that all? What else? Snored. Let's talk about it after you win. But if I win, I'll let you be my male slave. The plump and beautiful woman strode away after she finished speaking, looking very chic. Fang Fan only felt 10,000 mud horses galloping past his mind. Male slave. Are you drifting? Ding. Someone has been detected to reduce the dimensionality of the host, and now a random task recruit another female slave is released. Task Introduction, take Murong Yu, the third-rank red-clothed Archbishop of the First-Class Light Alliance Temple, as a female slave. Note, only verbal consent is required. Task time limit, 1 month. Mission reward, the female slave system opens a new female slave position, which automatically turns Murong Yu into the host's second female slave, permanently controlled by the host. Mission punishment, lose your virginity and become the other party's male slave. Remarks, this is a time for men's rights and women's rights. Please don't hesitate to show your strength. Attack. Effect of number 1 female slave position, when the cultivation level is improved, 50% of the experience value will be fed back to the host, helping the host to advance. Owned. The effect of the number 2 female slave position, unconditionally increase the combat power of the host by 1 level. At this moment, Fang Fan only has endless feelings of self in his heart. However, I am not educated, so I can walk the world in 1 sentence. The one in front of me, is a big boss who can rival Pope Gongai's. He is the Cardinal Archbishop of the First-Class Temple of the Alliance of Light, and even, is the supreme existence of the Holy Realm. Is it possible to collect such a female slave? Fang Fan's forehead was densely covered with thick lines, and he always felt that the dog system was pushing him into the fire pit. This wave after wave, the rhythm of being torn apart every minute. Fang Fan took a deep breath, his eyes trembled silently, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and the feeling became more profound at this moment. It's just that after seeing the miraculous effect of the number 2 female slave, Fang Fan's eyes couldn't move at all. That's so humming awesome. Unconditionally increase a level of combat power. In other words, the current Fang Fan is the pinnacle quasi-sage. If he successfully subdues Murong Yu as his female slave and activates the second female slave position in the female slave system, it will show that he can directly burst into a 1-star sanctuary combat power. And this increase in combat power will continue to affect him as his cultivation level increases. Fang Fan knew exactly what this meant. Fang Fan clenched his fists silently, his eyes flickered, and it was hard to contain the surge in his heart at this moment. When I am promoted to the 8-star sanctuary, won't I be able to have the combat power of the Holy Realm immediately? At that time, Rage of the Rage God can be added to add 3 levels of combat power. Fang Fan's eyes gradually brightened. This female slave position is so crucial. Every female slave can bring a bonus effect, which is simply not too cool. Fang Fan didn't have any special desire to collect female slaves before, he always felt that he had a noble character. But for now, the more the merrier. Seeing Murong Yu's graceful figure walking forward, Fang Fan opened his mouth, really wanting to ask directly, "Can you be my slave?" Fang Fan finally resisted this act of death, because he knew very well that if he really did this, he might be slapped to death with a backhand. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2082. After everyone gathered, they started to run towards the location of the sanctuary of the Vault of Heaven. Fang Fan and the others boarded a large flying battleship, ready to head towards the sanctuary of the Vault of Heaven. Before leaving, Dong Qiushuo specially came over to ask Fang Fan a wave. Brother Fang Fan, you must take down a foreign student. As long as you can practice for hundreds of years in the Guangming Academy, you will be eligible to compete for the position of Pope after you return to the Temple of the Alliance of Light in the Sky Sanctuary. Brother will fully support you when the time comes. You have already cultivated so much at such a young age, and your future is boundless. We want to revitalize the line under the crown of Goddess Athena, we will never slack off in the slightest. While Dong Qiushuo was talking, the expression on his face was very real. Fang Fan could feel that what he said was the truth. Fang Fan opened his mouth, feeling somewhat guilty in his heart. In fact, the reason why Dong Qiushuo was so sincere to him was probably because Fang Fan once said that they were once under the crown of the goddess Athena, and they were gods. Dong Qiushuo had such an attitude out of his supreme belief in the goddess Athena. It's all based on lies. Looking at Dong Qiushuo's extremely sincere eyes, Fang Fan silently nodded, really couldn't bear to expose it. I can only get that if I really see the goddess Athena crowned in the future, I can help this brother Dongguo once and fully satisfy his wish. Fang Fan sat silently on the large flying battleship, watching the thousands of Star Core cannons around him, feeling inexplicably shocked. A large flying battleship, the general combat strength hovers between the 7-star Sanctuary and the 9-star Sanctuary. And the ship that Fang Fan was on, under a full-scale explosion, can display the combat effectiveness of the 8-star Sanctuary realm. This 8-star Sanctuary class large flying battleship is affiliated to the Guangming Academy in the Sanctuary of the Firmament, and Fang Fan is shocked by the financial resources of this Guangming Academy. At this moment, besides the 2,000 young cultivators from Qingtian Sanctuary, there are several other young cultivators from the Sanctuary in this 8-star Sanctuary level large flying battleship. Their purpose is only one, and that is to go to the light the school participates in the assessment. Fang Fan made a little calculation, and each third-class sanctuary will basically send 2,000 examiners. There are hundreds of third-class sanctuaries around the first-class sanctuary, Sky Sanctuary, and these young examiners all have second-class 100,000. In addition to the 9 second-class sanctuaries, I am afraid they can also raise hundreds of thousands of examiners. Plus the hundreds of thousands of examiners in the first-class sanctuary Sky Sanctuary itself. There will most likely be millions of people participating in the assessment. These millions are basically the absolute young elites of each family. Such as Qingtian Sanctuary, in fact, belongs to this situation. In the end, in order to gather the number of people, even the young geniuses of the low-level quasi-sage and the middle-level quasi-sage were overwhelmed. It is bound to be a big melee. Among the geniuses, choose the peerless genius. Out of the millions of examiners, there are 10,000 people who will eventually become students from the foreign government, and the probability is almost 1%, that is, 1 in 100. Among them, there are only 1,000 people who can become inner palace students. That's a 1 in 1,000 chance. 1 in 1,000. Fang Fan took a deep breath, his eyes flickered unnaturally, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and the shock in his heart became more and more intense. At this moment, the thoughts are gathered, and the eyes are more and more profound. Fang Fan's goal is to seize 100 positions among the 1,000 inner palace students. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2083. Roll. Go away. This is the site of our 7 luminaries sanctuary. All of you in the Qingtian Sanctuary get out. Damn it. Third-class sanctuaries like you who can't get out of the inner palace every year actually don't need to rush to participate. Isn't it embarrassing? In the crowd, there were noisy sounds. Fang Fan raised his head and glanced, and saw that several people from Genji Shen Zone were being expelled at the moment. In fact, this large flying battleship is very large inside, and there is no need to compete with each other for positions. It's just that Genji Shenzong's position is relatively close to the window, so he can see the scenery outside, so this is also a relatively good view position. At this moment, several young cultivators in blue robes walked over. 7 silver-white suns were embroidered on their chests. In addition, they also wore a bronze star medal on their chests. The bronze star medal means that they come from the third-class temple of the Alliance of Light. As for the 7 silver-white suns, they should be the symbols of their sanctuary. The Qiyao sanctuary is also a third-class sanctuary, but its comprehensive strength should be considered relatively strong among the third-class sanctuaries. Bullying the weak and fearing the strong has always been the nature of intelligent beings. They often like to show their presence in this way. Although it seems shameless, it also appears to be true to a certain extent. Fang Fan narrowed his eyes secretly, and sat there indifferently, as if he was just watching a play. Genji Shenzong has nothing to do with him. Fang Fan glanced at the little slave girl Xueling at the side. At this moment, he was thinking about how to successfully take down the first-class Archbishop Murongyu from the Temple of the Light Alliance, and then let her succeed in becoming his slave girl, and then open the second slave girl. In this way, you can enjoy the special benefits brought by the second female slave position. Fang Fan took a deep breath. Such opportunities don't come along all the time. More importantly, the task completion time limit is only 1 month. In a month's time, let a supremely strong man in the holy state become his slave girl. Fang Fan took a deep breath, inexplicably feeling that there is a long way to go. Fang Fan thought out of the sky, and began to conduct a comprehensive brainstorming. Tell you to get out, didn't you hear? You, are you effing deaf? Shout. This little girl looks really good. You guys in the Sky Sanctuary are all too hot in fighting power, but the women are as beautiful as each other. Little sister, come and accompany me, I am the young master of Qiyao Pavilion in Qiyao Sanctuary. Follow me, from now on you will eat delicious food and drink spicy food. A noisy sound came from not far away, and the little slave girl Xueling trembled slightly, and then she burrowed into Fang Fan's arms. Fang Fan frowned silently, and then gradually turned back from the state of wandering in the sky. At this moment, the young practitioners who saw the Qiyao sanctuary had come over, and their despicable eyes were fixed on Xueling, who was beside Fan Fan. He even took the opportunity to go up and drive away the people around Fang Fan. A group of heroes and legionnaires stood up directly. Fang Fan looked indifferently at the so-called young pavilion master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary in front of him. Get back! Fang Fan sneered, already expressing his attitude. It's not his home field in the large flying battleship at the moment, he really doesn't want to cause trouble. You let Master Ben go. Ha ha ha. It's too much to laugh at. Did you hear that? Let Xiao Ben go. Wearing a blue robe, the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary suddenly smiled brightly. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Xu Yu. Chapter 2084. I really don't know what's the use of having eyes. You people in Qingtian Sanctuary are really a bunch of idiots. Today, I will teach you a good lesson. Wearing a blue robe, the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary smiled wildly, and immediately rushed towards Fang Fan's position. While speaking, he wanted to reach out and slap Fang Fan. No matter where you are, there will always be a few dead. Fang Fan silently raised his eyes, the murderous intent flickered in them. Most of the time, they are just trying to die. Snapped. A loud slap sounded, and Fang Fan slapped it back, his gaze became extremely indifferent. The scene fell into silence for a while. Even the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary, who was wearing a blue robe, seemed extremely stunned at the moment. He was slapped. It would be fine if some elite cultivators from the second-class sanctuary were slapped, he could only bear it. But these are all from Qingtian Sanctuary. Qingtian Sanctuary is in front of their 7 luminaries sanctuary, so it is a hammer. Anger, gradually gathering. Damn it! Kill! Kill them all to Ben. Young master was beaten just now? Didn't you guys see it? Ah! Are you all a bunch of blind people? Go! Clap clap clap! The young master of Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, gritted his teeth, with a sinister look in his eyes. While talking at the moment, the gnashing of teeth was vividly displayed. While speaking, he frantically beat these attendants around. It can be seen that this is an extremely cruel existence. I'll go, then we'll start fighting inside the battleship. Tisk tisk tisk, it's so lively. I know that blue-robed young man, he is the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary. The Qiyao Pavilion is the face of the entire Qiyao Sanctuary, that is a quasi-first-rank power. It is said that there is only a thin line between being promoted to a first-rank power. The owner of the Qiyao Pavilion is also the supreme powerhouse of the Holy Venerable Realm. That group of people seem to be cultivators of Qingtian Sanctuary. They are all sanctuary, almost. Almost. Brother, you are really too young. There is only one quasi-first-rank force in Qingtian Sanctuary, but there are 3 in Qiyao Sanctuary. Among them, Qiyao Pavilion is the most respected. Do you still think it is the same now? If you really do it, the 7 luminaries sanctuary can easily obliterate the Qingtian Sanctuary. Let's just talk about the enrollment of each Guangming Academy. It is basically unlikely that there will be students from the inner palace in the Qingtian Sanctuary, and there are only 7 or 8 students from the outer palace. But Qiyao Sanctuary can produce 2 to 3 students from the inner palace every year, and dozens of students from the outer palace. Do you know the gap now? The young master of the 7 luminaries sanctuary is a 1-star sanctuary. In addition, there are 2 1-star sanctuary in the 7 luminaries sanctuary. Hey, although they are both third-class sanctuaries, the Qiyao Sanctuary is the lower third among the third-class sanctuaries, and the Qiyao Sanctuary is the upper third among the third-class sanctuaries. The difference between the two, I feel a little I can understand it all at once. Hey! Just now when the people in the Qiyao Sanctuary were pretending to be aggressive, it's good to retreat separately. If you have to go up and find fault, hey, you will be hanged and beaten after all. The bustling sound came, but it made a thorough analysis of Qiyao Sanctuary and Qingtian Sanctuary. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Xu Yu. Chapter 2085. Fang Fan. You're rude. Don't hurry up and apologize to the chief of the Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju Xiao. In the distance, Jingzhan, Shenzi of the Temple of the Light Alliance in Qingtian Sanctuary, strode over. This is also one of the few top quasi-sages in the Temple of the Light Alliance in the Qingtian Sanctuary, and it is said that he has been promoted to the top quasi-sage when he was 100 years old, and then spent 8 years in the top quasi-sage for more than 100 years. I have never been promoted. This time, I was able to go to the assessment of the Guangming Academy despite the restriction of a 1,000-year-old bone age, thinking that I could achieve something in the Guangming Academy. It stands to reason that the cultivators of Qingtian Sanctuary should stand on the united front, but this guy immediately changed his sect when he first came up. Extreme. Shanju Xiao Pavilion Master, this person doesn't know how to praise, offended you, it's his fault. It has nothing to do with our Qingtian Sanctuary. I hope you have a lot of adults, Don't involve other practitioners in our Qingtian sanctuary on. If you want revenge, just deal with him at will. I am Jingzhan, the son of God of the Light Alliance Temple in Qingtian Sanctuary, and I have always admired Shanju Shaoj. Jingzhan, the son of God of the Light Alliance Temple in the Sky Sanctuary, was speaking, and the flattering smile on his face became more and more real. Snapped. It's just that no matter how flattering this guy is, all he gets is a big slap in the face. Grass. What the hell are you? Go away. Shanju, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion, let out a muffled snort, his face full of displeasure. After being slapped suddenly, Jingzhan, the godson of the Temple of the Light Alliance in the Qingtian Sanctuary, did not dare to show anger at all, but his flattery became more and more intense. At this moment, when he turned his head and saw the indifferent expression on Fang Fan's face, he was immediately furious. He felt that Fang Fan brought all of this. According to the normal situation, wouldn't it be fine if they expressed their surrender and cowardice? If someone wants a seat by the window, just give it to them. If someone wants a woman, just give it to him. If someone wants to beat you, just accept it. If someone wants to kill you, just beg for mercy. All in all, it's your fault to resist. Fang Fan. Kneel down to the Son of God. You are the one who offended young Pavilion Master Shanju this time. If you can't dispel the anger of young Pavilion Master Shanju, just keep kneeling. Even if Pavilion Master Shanju wants to kill you, you deserve it. Kneel. Kneel down. Evil is born on the side of courage. Jingzhan, the godson of the Temple of the Light Alliance in the Qingtian Sanctuary, yelled, and then even pointed fingers in front of Fang Fan. If you are not from Qingtian Sanctuary, you are already dead. Fang Fan gave a cold shout, then took out the Zhantian sword indifferently, and cut off the hand that was waving in the air. Word card. Click. Blood splattered all over the ground, and the scene once seemed extremely bloody. See blood. Ah! My hand, my hand. Fang Fan. Fang Fan. You crazy. Damn you. If I can become a student of the Inner Palace in the assessment of Guangming Academy this time, I can become a quasi-sage of the temple. At that time, I will not let you go. Jingzhan, the godson of the Light Alliance Temple in the Qingtian Sanctuary, yelled and tried to rush towards Fang Fan. Fang Fan strikes again. Click. The other hand of this Jingzhan was also cut off directly. Both arms were broken, and he couldn't toss about it in a short time. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2086. Don't dare to yell in front of me again, kill Wushi. I don't care if you want to be a loyal minister and filial son to others, but don't talk nonsense in front of me. Fang Fan smiled indifferently, with the corners of his mouth slightly raised. Jingzhan, the godson of the Light Alliance Temple in the Qingtian Sanctuary, wanted to yell, but after seeing Fang Fan's extremely indifferent expression, he fell into panic instantly. Especially seeing the two bloody arms on the ground brought him a strong sense of visual stimulation. He could feel Fang Fan's killing intent. Tisk tisk tisk. Good show. It's really a good show. Interesting. It's really interesting. Fang Fan. Your name is Fang Fan. I'm getting more and more interested in you now. But you beat me, if I just let you go, haha, what's the face of me? Kneel down and slap yourself 100 times, and I can accept you as my sword slave. This is a blessing that you can't cultivate in 10 lifetimes. The young master of the Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, was speaking and then walked forward proudly. The expression on his face began to change in a distorted direction. While speaking, subconsciously stretched out his hand to slap Fang Fan's face. Fang Fan glanced indifferently, then silently waved his hand. Galen. Cut his tongue, too noisy. Fang Fan stretched, and then he took the little slave Xueling to sit beside him indifferently. You wanna die? Heaven has a way, you don't go, hell has no way, you break in. Humph. This young master originally wanted to give you a way to survive, but you didn't cherish it yourself. In that case, this young master will abolish you personally. Kill him. Take the beauty beside him, I want to enjoy it. The young master of Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, was talking, and the expression on his face became more and more abnormal. After he gave the order, hundreds of elite cultivators from the Qiyao sanctuary rushed towards him in an instant, and after a glance, they were basically high-level quasi-sages, and there were also 2 one-star sanctuary realm cultivators. Since he dares to be so arrogant in this battleship, he naturally has some capital. The level of these young practitioners in the Qiyao sanctuary are indeed higher to some extent. But that's all there is to it. It is absolutely impossible to get a stronger breakthrough. Galen, several heroes, and hundreds of soldiers of the Legion are all in the sanctuary realm. If they make a move at this moment, they will be subdued in an instant. On the ground, there was a sound of howling ghosts and howling wolves, and there were a lot of broken limbs. As for the extremely arrogant young master of the Qiyao Pavilion, Danju, Galen stepped under his feet at this moment. Because of his resistance just now, one of his arms has been broken at this moment, and one of his feet has also been cut off in the battle. Now Galen is going to execute Fang Fan's order and cut off his tongue. Seeing that Galen's big sword was about to stab his mouth, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion Shanju was completely panicked. Don't. Fang Fan, you lunatic. You don't want to live anymore. My father is the master of the Qiyao Pavilion. My father is a strong man in the holy venerable realm. You let me go. I don't want to die. Don't. Because the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion was tossing too much alone, Galen was a little helpless, and finally took out a small dagger and stirred up a wave in his mouth. Immediately, pieces of broken flesh and blood spit out from this single mouth. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shuyu. Chapter 2087. It looks like, in addition to the tongue fragments, there are also some teeth and lip fragments. This is the consequence of disobedience. Originally, he simply cut his tongue, and at most he would suffer a temporary punishment. But now, covered in trauma. Woo. Tongue was crushed, and the young master of Qiyao Pavilion at this moment, Shanju, was muttering when he spoke. Who is making trouble here? From the front of this large flying battleship, a plump and beautiful woman walked over. As soon as she said a word, the audience fell silent. The identity of the person in front of him is extraordinary, so everyone naturally dare not make a mistake at this moment. Master Murong is here. Everyone, stop talking nonsense, Master Murong will naturally solve everything. Master Murong is here, who would dare to make a mistake? Everyone, keep a low profile. Hey, this time there is a good show to watch. I am afraid that this young man from Qingtian Sanctuary will be unlucky. The young master of the Qiyao Pavilion in the Qiyao Sanctuary was beaten like this. After all, he wanted to set an example. Everyone stop talking, don't be caught by someone with a heart. Yes, it is indeed such a truth, just a little bit. Murong Yu strode over from a distance. At first, she followed the smell of blood. When she smelled the smell of blood, she felt something was wrong, but it turned out that it was indeed the case. Someone dared to make trouble under her nose. She is the current actual controller of this battleship, and her task is to safely bring these third-class sanctuary examiners to the Guangming Academy in the Firmament Sanctuary. If there are casualties, it will still have some impact on her. In the crowd, she caught a glimpse of Fang Fan at a glance. At this moment, Fang Fan is leaning on the little slave girl Xueling, twitching his legs leisurely. This guy is so eye-catching. At the moment, many people's eyes are focused on Fang Fan, so it's not surprising that Mirongyu can catch Fang Fan at a glance. This matter has something to do with this guy. It doesn't look like he was injured. It seems to be quite enjoyable. Mirongyu glanced at the little girl Xueling beside Fang Fan, and then looked at Fang Fan's complacent look. For some reason, he felt an inexplicable sense of discomfort in his heart. She was going to train Fang Fan as her male slave, and her male slave relied on other women. More or less feeling a little bit out of place. Woo 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 woo. At this time, Shanju, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion, hurriedly climbed over with trembling lips. His body was already stained with blood, and he spit out blood from his mouth. What do you want to say? Straighten your tongue. Mirongyu, the third-rank red-clothed archbishop of the first-class Light Alliance Temple, said angrily. But immediately, she found that the tongue of the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, had already been smashed, and it was lucky to be able to make a sound at this moment. Ah, ah. At this moment, the young master of the Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, felt that he had a great grievance stuck in his chest and couldn't vent it. His whole body was trembling, his eyes were flickering for a while. All kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and the sound of inhalation was vividly displayed. All I can say is, so real. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shuyu. Chapter 2088. Immediately, Shanju, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion, quickly took out a white elixir, and swallowed it with trembling lips. After a few seconds, the injury on his mouth improved a little, and the trembling of his whole body became slightly smaller. Taking a breath, his eyes flickered for a while. Mirong, Master Mirong. It's him, it's that bastard. That bastard named Fang Fan. He is ruthless. He is the one who entrapped me like this. Master Mirong. You must avenge me. I just wanted to say hello and make friends with him in the past, and he cut off my arms and legs, and my tongue was forced by his subordinates, it was smashed inside with a dagger. Lord Mirong. You must make the decision for me, kill that Fang Fan. Avenge me. Lord Mirong, I am the young master of Qiyao Pavilion in Qiyao Sanctuary, you met my father before. The young master of Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, spoke with a heavy nasal voice. Although the white pill he swallowed just now temporarily restored his speaking ability, it was obvious that there were still some other sequelae. The young master of Qiyao Pavilion's single pair of blood eyes just stared at Fang Fan, wishing he could pounce on Fang Fan's flesh and blood. He has never been wronged like this since he was so old, and the resentment in his heart is already hard to contain. The endless killing intent in his heart is gathering, and he can't wait to roar directly. The young master of the Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, was too excited, so he grabbed Mirongyu's skirt with both hands while speaking, and the bloody mark gradually showed on Mirongyu's skirt. The plump and beautiful woman Mirongyu frowned, looking a little dissatisfied, and then took a few steps back. Fang Fan. It was you who hurt him. How do you explain it? You made trouble on my battleship, you really ate a bear's heart and a leopard's guts. The plump and beautiful woman Mirongyu smiled lightly, and while talking, she strode over, with a different look on her face. Fang Fan shrugged secretly, looking at the woman's expression. It seems that there is still a feeling of trickery. This woman seems to want to take this opportunity to punish him. Fang Fan raised his eyebrows, and then stood up from the little slave Xueling, his face full of indifference. forehead. Lord Murong, this matter has nothing to do with me. He came here first and wanted to snatch my seat. I already let him go, but he insisted on coming over and attacking me, even wanting to take my little slave girl. He did it first, and I chose to fight back out of self-defense. Is there anything wrong? If it's really wrong, it's because this guy's fighting power is too hot. It's okay to be hot, it's not his fault, but if you insist on acting aggressive, it's his fault. I'm just teaching him a lesson for his father, so as not to cause a catastrophe in the future. Speaking of which, he came here to provoke me first and wasted so much of my time. Should he compensate me for some mental damage? Fang Fan raised his eyebrows and said sincerely, he really thinks this is very important, there are too many things involved, too many. You are lying. Lord Murong. He's talking nonsense. He hurt me like this, he is despising your authority. He must be killed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Divine System of the Strongest Card Supplier in the End Times, Doomsday Strongest Card Supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2089. When Shanju, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion, heard that Fang Fan still wanted to ask him for some mental damage fees, his mentality exploded. Can this really work? I'm the victim, okay. The victim suffers the greatest grievance, okay. When is it your turn to cry out here? Shanju, the young master of Qiyao Pavilion, took a deep breath, clenched his fists silently, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and the veins on his forehead burst out. Fang Fan curled his lips. At this moment, he was really afraid that this guy would burst his veins and die if he couldn't think about it for a while. Shut up. Stop fighting. Murong Yu, the third-rank red-clothed archbishop of the First-Class Light Alliance Temple, gave a cold snort, with a more or less disappointed expression on his face. At first, I thought that if I caught Fang Fan's little handle, then I could rectify Fang Fan. But now the overall look is a plot of a super dude who wants to do something, but is beaten back because of his too strong strength. Although it is said that Fang Fan's shot was heavy, it cannot be said that there is something wrong with doing so. Everything seems casual and indifferent, without any other mistakes. Murong Yu, the third-rank red-clothed archbishop of the First-Class Light Alliance Temple, frowned silently, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and then silently exhaled. At this moment, the feelings in my heart are vividly displayed. It was you who made trouble on purpose. What is there to complain about being countered at this moment? Is it possible that people still sit and wait for you to attack? However, what you have done this time has indeed disturbed the internal order of the battleship. Each confiscated 10 million low-grade star cores, and this matter is over. Murong Yu waved his hand, looking very tired. In fact, Murong Yu is quite fair. Fang Fan curled his lips, secretly feeling uncomfortable. What the hell, you have to confess to tens of millions of low-grade star cores every minute. What's the matter? Fang Fan glanced at Murong Yu's plump figure. If it wasn't for the fact that this woman would become his slave within a month, he would definitely refute. But now, even if he supports his number 2 female slave in advance. That's it? Gone. The young master of Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, stared wide-eyed, feeling unbelievable at this moment. His ultimate goal is to kill Fang Fan. Where is this? Confiscated tens of millions of low-grade star cores? The key is that both of them were confiscated. How can he accept this? The young master of Qiyao Pavilion, Shanju, trembled his lips, looking extremely dissatisfied. Lord Murong. Unfair. I have suffered so many injuries. That Fang Fan is the one who hurt others. Let him go like this. I don't accept it. I don't accept it. He must be beheaded. Only in this way can I be convinced. Lord Murong, my father is the owner of the Kiyao Pavilion. My father is a strong man in the holy venerable realm. The young master of Kiyao Pavilion, Shanju, was speaking and then threatened secretly from the side. Originally, Murong Yu really didn't care about what the young master of Kiyao Pavilion Shanju said, and was ready to leave directly, but at this moment when he heard this wave of threatening words, Murong Yu's eyes were instantly filled with coldness. So what? Are you going to let your father in the holy state come to me to seek justice? You can go to your father. I really want to see. Does the master of Kiyao Pavilion have the guts? Murong Yu let out a domineering cold drink. Divine system of the strongest card supplier in the end times, Doomsday strongest card supplier. Author, Shu Yu. Chapter 2090. With her status, even if the master of the Kiyao Pavilion of the Holy Venerable Realm is here, she will most likely not take it too seriously. After all, she is a first-class member of the Temple of the Bright Alliance, and she is also a mentor of the Bright Academy. Multiple identities are connected in series, which is completely Wangba's start. Master Murong, I didn't mean that. I just hope that you can enforce the law impartially and completely wipe out this Fang Fan. Give me justice. Otherwise, no one will be convinced. The master of the Kiyao Pavilion, Shanju, was talking and his gnashing of teeth was vividly displayed. While talking, his face became more and more ugly, all kinds of thoughts gathered in his mind, and now he can't wait to roar out. Coercion, another coercion from Chi Kuakuo. I said, this matter is handled like this. But you have delayed me for such a long time, and have seriously hindered the normal order of the battleship, and an additional fine of 100 million low-grade crystals will be added. Murong Yu glanced over directly with his indifferent gaze. In fact, at this time, he had almost reached the limit of his patience. It is not easy for her to be able to endure this level of being coerced by unreasonable accusations at the moment. No. No way. It must not be handled like this. Lord Murong. I see that you are bending the law for personal gain. Don't think I don't know, I've heard it before, saying that you hooked up with a little boy in Qingtian Sanctuary, and wanted to make him into your own forbidden. It seems to be him. I really didn't expect it. The third-rank red-clothed Archbishop of the First-Class Light Alliance Temple would actually do such a thing. It's very normal to do this kind of thing in order to protect your forbidden male slave. I wonder why? It turns out that I have these thoughts. I've seen it through. A nest of thieves. The young master of Kiyao Pavilion, Shanju, continued to clamor while talking. At this moment, the entire battleship suddenly became silent. This is just their after-dinner conversation, a few nonsense words, and this guy stabbed them out. That's the first-class Archbishop in red from the Temple of the Alliance of Light, so contemptuous. Are you really a fool? Or is Zhu Dian able to obliterate everything by himself? Is the force so strong now? Now those people who eat melons are so frightened that they shrink their necks quickly. Anyway, they must not be involved in it. They have already felt the signs of the coming storm. The sound of wind and rain, the sound of the sound, inexplicably brings people a sense of infinite panic in consciousness. What are you saying? Murong Yu turned his head silently, his murderous aura surged in an instant. Immediately he raised his head, rested his head silently on the other arm of the young master of the Kiyao Pavilion, Shanju, squeezed silently, and there were bursts of bone explosions, and the flesh and blood randomly mixed with bone stubble came out little by little from the young master of the Kiyao Pavilion. It flowed down from the pavilion master. Ah! Ah! There was a heart-piercing roar, and everyone could feel the pain. But in fact, at this moment, most people feel that this guy completely deserves it. Is it not good to live? Do you have to pursue a dead end? This is completely putting oneself in a state of death. At this moment, Shanju, the young master of Kiyao Pavilion, also realized that he had just said something that should not have been said, and suddenly broke out in cold sweat.